How's it going, everyone? It's Johnny Beard here, and with another episode of the Streamer Stories podcast. And here is my amazing guest today, RekItRaven. Here she is.
Hi.
Hello. You mentioned your cat. Where's your cat? We did.
He vanished now into the oblivion that is behind me.
You might see my cats here, just to give you the warning. I've got two.
I love
cats,
it.
So
I love it. I'd pick mine up, but he'd scream at me. And I'd.
Yeah. I got a channel redemption where they're like, show us your cats, and I'm like, oh god, go and get it.
Right.
There we go. Yeah.
It's so much easier to do that with dogs, I think.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I can do that with dogs. But yeah, there's also treats and stuff. But anyway, we'll get to that later on. But thanks for being a guest on our show. I really appreciate you. Do you want to tell us who you are and where we can find you on your socials?
Sure, yeah. I am RekItRaven. You can find me almost everywhere. If you Google me, you'll find me. I am a full-time content creator and activist on Twitch. I recently got partnered in September of last year. I started a movement last year. We did the Twitch Do Better movement, which also kind of spun into the A Day of Twitch movement, which was co-led by Shiny Pen and Lucia Everblack. I fight for human rights. I have a lot of, difficult conversations on my streams. I play a variety of games, but horror is home. And I am just a chaotic good being out here on this dark corner of the internet that I have found myself.
Brilliant. Wow. That's a heck of an introduction, isn't it? I love it. Love it. But we'll talk about all of that later on for sure. But we actually start right at the beginning. We start about when we were kids. So tell us then. So what was your first memory of gaming really when you grew up?
Duck Hunt and Dr. Mario.
Okay.
On the original Nintendo system. I remember that very vividly because I am adopted, so I'm significantly younger than my siblings, right? By about 20 years or so.
Okay.
So they had it, and I, probably shouldn't have been playing Duck Hunt, but, I fell in love with it. It was just fun for me. And, I know now that I have ADHD, but I didn't know that then. I was undiagnosed. So I would hyper-focus into doing things like Dr. Mario because the puzzle elements were very stimulating for me. So I really got into a lot of those games, specifically surrounding Nintendo, because that was the only system we had. But it was always just so much fun for me because it was the one thing that I could really do with my siblings that transcended the age gap.
Yeah.
So we were on an equal playing field. It wasn't just they were significantly older and then acting as my moms as well.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. That's a heck of an introduction. Duck Hunt. I mean, yeah, it's hard. I've heard. I've not actually played it personally, but you hear all the stories.
Yeah, no, listen, it was terrible and I was never good at it, but I enjoyed it because I didn't care if I won or not. I just got to see the little dog run and snag the duck, and so it was great.
Brilliant. So was there any other games on the Nintendo that you played as well? Or were those the main two?
Those were the main two that I remember. I will say that my childhood was very checkered. So there are vast moments of time that I don't remember, and they kind of fall into two categories between the age of 5 and the age of 9. So a lot of it I don't remember, but I remember that was my introduction to gaming. And then I remember as I was growing up, I had gotten the PlayStation, a regular PlayStation. I had gotten the Game Boy, so I was playing the original Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Red, and doing all there was actual trading cables that you needed to link from your Game Boy to another Game Boy in order to do trades. It was that for me was amazing because I would take my little it was a bright pink Game Boy Color.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would take it with me on the bus, and then my friends would sit in the back of the bus with me because that's where all the cool kids sat, and we'd be oh, I got this Pokemon, you want this? And we would do trading and stuff. So my introduction to being a nerdy ass kid was, I mean, I went in full stop. There was nothing stopping me. So I did a lot of that. And then I used to find indie games, right? I didn't play a lot of the major titles because one, money was tight, and two, there were some strict, like very strict restrictions on the kind of content I could play for good reason, right? Because some of the stuff that was out when I was younger wasn't necessarily conducive to a child. So like there was, I think it was like Lemon Drop or something, where like you got to be these little characters, and you would unlock them, and it was basically like a little puzzle game where we would have to shoot like these orbs into like the same colored pocket, and like I remember getting so frustrated. Like my first ever experience in nerd raging happened in that game.
Okay, yeah.
Because I would get to a certain point and then I just could not progress. So I would like freak out and like be upset. And then Sega Genesis was massive in my childhood as well.
Nice.
Because me and my cousins, we would go over to my grandma's house and we would end up playing Mortal Kombat. Not that my mom knew. So we would end up playing Mortal Kombat. We'd end up playing like Power Rangers. Like we were just heathens. And then we would fight each other after. Like literally just like pretend like I was like the Pink Ranger and my cousin was, you know, the Green Ranger. And we were just fighting and karate chopping each other. And well, I mean, you know, we didn't actually hospitalize each other, which was good, but we were mean. We were mean.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. No, I remember, I've got a memory of Power Rangers. I used to have a red coat and my sister had a pink coat, and we used to turn them inside out and then put a hood up. So we were with the masks. You know, so we'd that was what we used to do. Then pretend fight each other, stuff like that. But wow, a lot to unravel there. So Pokemon, did you catch them all? Did you catch them all in the end?
I didn't. I tried.
Yeah. Did you do like battles, Pokemon battles as well with the link cable?
I did a couple of times and I was never good at it. So that was one of those things where it was like,
No.
meh.
What do you remember?
Maybe not.
Who your favorite Pokemon team was, or certain Pokemon that was part of your team?
I used to love Bulbasaur. Mm-hmm. Bulbasaur was my go-to. I played Charizard, I played Squirtle, but like Bulbasaur for me was like top tier. And I never actually remember catching a Pikachu, but I had Eevee.
No, yeah.
And Jolteon was one of my favorite evolutions. So I would always have a Jolteon on my team. I'd have I think Vaporeon was back then too.
Yeah.
So like I had a lot of the evolutions of Eevee.
Yeah.
I also had Machamp and Gyarados.
Nice.
Was a big one for me.
Oh wow, great team. I love it. Thanks. And you mentioned the Sega Mega Drive. So Sega Genesis. Apologies. It's a Mega Drive here in the UK.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So Power Rangers, Mortal Kombat, fighting games. Did you play any Sonic? Did you play any Finesse?
I absolutely did play Sonic, and I would get to the water level and drown every time. Oh, no. There was always a threshold for me, right? Like I would always get to a certain point and be like, F, this is So the water level was it for me. But yeah, I played a lot of Sonic. Played a lot of Sonic, and that was like the original catch co-op, right? Because like you'd go through a level and like you'd either play till you died, or like you would get through like the level and then you'd pass the controller off. It was the same thing on Nintendo with like Super Mario and things like that. So it was always a lot of fun. Like those were some of my fondest memories of my childhood, is just being able to like really become part of something that was going to be great.
100%. So you had the PlayStation as well?
Yes, the original, yeah.
So what games did you play on there?
I think it was like Lemon Drop. I played Crash Bandicoot, Crash Team Racing.
Oh, yes.
Spyro. You know, a lot of the popular things back then.
Yeah.
I don't remember when Oddworld came out.
Yeah, it was a PS1 game.
It was a PS1 game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to play Abe's Odyssey.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Make characters fat all the time. That was me.
Yeah, like there were games that I dabbled in, but like there was nothing that really kept my attention outside of like Sonic and like Super Mario and things like that, like the popular things, because that's what everybody else was playing, right? So I wanted to try to connect with people because I was bad at that. I was bad at it.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, did you ever beat some of those games? So, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Abe's Odyssey. I've never beaten Abe's Odyssey personally.
I've never beat Abe's Odyssey. I did beat Spyro and Crash Bandicoot with my friend Shannon. when I was little because my mom used to babysit her and her brother and sister. And that's what we would do. And like we would just take turns of going back and forth. And like she definitely had more patience than I did. And I thank her for it. Like because we actually got through the game. And then honestly enough, like there was a point in time where I kind of stopped playing video games because I got told like it wasn't for me because I was a girl.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, okay. Like, I guess that's right.
Oh, man. Oh, that's so depressing, isn't it? I mean, yeah. So, I mean, in that case, then, so when did it come back, and how did that go about? When you was like, right, that's it. I'm playing games. Screw this.
Yeah, I started playing like old school RuneScape.
Okay.
That was my introduction back into it again. And I would dabble here and there. Like I'd play some fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, yada yada yada, Soul Calibur. But I played old school RuneScape, and that kind of just fit this void for me because I was a very socially awkward kid. You would never know. Totally would. But I was a very socially awkward kid. So I had a hard time making friends because, again, a lot of things that they don't tell you about ADHD is like, yeah, you might be very social or like that's just the hyperactivity in you, but like it's not always responded or received well, right? So anytime I tried to fit into a friend group, I was always the annoying one.
Oh, right.
So I got ostracized. So I didn't have a lot of those social constructs outside of my family. And so being able to kind of slip into an online world where people didn't know me and I was able to kind of like create friendships and play games and like beat dragons and be a wizard or, whatever it was, really clicked with me because I was able to be me.
100%, yeah.
And I wasn't judged for it.
Damn right. Yeah.
So that kind of kicked off a whole new love. And then, I started playing World of Warcraft when that came out shortly before Burning Crusade dropped. Because I remember getting to like 3 levels before the max. And then it dropped and I just got pissed off. I was like, I don't want to fucking play this game. I hate it here.
Oh, wow. So you played a lot of online games?
Yeah, I did. And I still do. And that's the way I socialize a lot of the times, right? Especially now in this panini. But it was a way for me to find people that I fit in with.
Yeah.
And looking back at it, like I kind of like gravitated towards people who were neurodivergent like me. Right? I just didn't know that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of like online gaming and like for the longest time, like I was afraid to do stuff like Call of Duty or like what have you, because anytime I played and I played by myself, obviously there was somebody like putting me down because I was female.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that for a long time. I think Overwatch was the first time that I actually picked up a first-person shooter again, because I was just like the anxiety was a lot for me to handle.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be told that I was bad based off of my perceived gender.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So Overwatch was the first FPS that I picked up again.
Wow. That's a story. Wow. Yeah. And the frustrating thing is, of course, is that you're not the only one. There's so many people who have had that same experience. It's it unravels a really big problem even today.
Yeah.
So it's
I still experience it. If I'm in Siege and like somebody like hears me say like call something out, it's like, oh, you're a girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, don't do this because I promise you I will make you cry. I promise you I will make you cry.
But again, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was going to say, but again, that's something that you've had to develop over the years.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, for years, you probably had this moment where you're like, I'd rather not deal with that. I'm going to not play that game or not try to have that experience because the negativity, the feelings that you get from that purely because of the fact that you are a different gender or whatever it is. It's pathetic.
Yep.
It's a shame.
It is. And a lot of it, there's still a lot of racist and homophobic and, sexist and ableist language in these gaming spaces. And it is unfortunately up to us to dismantle that. And I will continue to do that. And like, the funny thing is like somebody will, if I'm in Siege, like I'm just using Siege because that's probably one of the most toxic games out there. If somebody says something to me, like I'm very quick, can I cuss?
Of course you can.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
Because I'm trying to do my best. I'm trying to be my best self.
Go for it.
But like somebody will be like, "Oh, you're a girl. Like, what the fuck are you doing here?" I'm like, "Listen, dude. Like, I promise you're not gonna want to do this." And then like it'll keep going. And I'm like, "Dude, listen. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I'm about to fuck your mom and be your stepmom."
Yeah.
Son, so sit the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like, but that's just how I get. And like at that point, nobody can say anything to me because they're like, good, shut up.
Yes.
Let me play this game.
Damn right.
Let me play the game.
But,
so it's wild. And like even because in Ubisoft, like you can have your profile picture, and I have my profile picture, and so people will be like, they'll make comments about my skin tone, and I'm like, you think you're slick? Like you think you're the first person that's ever said that to me? Wow. But it's still something that I don't want to have to do in my gaming experience.
Yeah, exactly. We play games, to relax, to chill, to have a good time, and it's crazy that you can't do that in your own space. And again, in your own home, it's your own money that you spent on the game. You can't do it. It's. I'm glad that we're opening up these barriers now. Slowly. There's still so much work to do.
There is. There is.
So,
there is, because we've seen that with Ubisoft, right? With their sexual harassment issues. We've seen that with ActiBliz now with their sexual harassment issues. Like it's not okay, and it shouldn't be okay. And we are at a point where people are like, "Oh, that's canceling." No, there is no such thing as canceling people. There is a thing as holding people accountable. Yeah. That's it. If you do something, you have to understand that your actions are going to have consequences. Maybe not in that moment, but it will catch up to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. Completely agree with you. Okay, we'll wind it back a bit, just because we're probably going to talk about. But it was all going to come up anyway. I'm more than happy to chat these things for sure. But so yeah, there was this time period where you were playing online games. So what we're talking time wise, and that's possibly teens, was it? And in your life?
Yeah, it started in my teens. I think I was about 14, 15, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you play online? Did you play console as well, or was it just purely an online thing that you were doing back then?
It was an online thing because I had a computer at the time.
Yeah.
And I had a computer because I had schoolwork and stuff to do, so it was easy to kind of do that, but like we weren't well off, so I wasn't able to get like to consoles and stuff. Like I think the last console that the only console that I owned during that period of time was the PS2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I didn't play it much.
No. But you played a lot of RuneScape. Was there any other like online games? So you mentioned World of Warcraft as well. So that was
yeah.
That's doing really. That's still doing well now. Crazy how long that game's been going for. At a high
I don't like it.
No. Why not?
I don't like it. Well, I mean, obviously I don't support ActiBliz right now.
Of course.
In any facet. No, that's I am not going to give them my money. I uninstalled the Blizzard launcher. I'm not here for it. But after a while it just got repetitive. The story was not great. People were just toxic. And I don't want to be in a place that doesn't want me there, right?
Yeah.
Especially if I don't think that it is going to be worth my time, and it's a game. It's not worth my time. Mm-hmm. Like there are 1,000,001. I don't care how many players it has, right? I don't care all the awards and critical acclaims and yada yada yada. Like I will go where I can be in a space that I think is conducive to what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. 100%. Yeah.
So that's why the MMOs that I play now a lot of the times are Final Fantasy 14.
Excellent.
The community cannot be beat. It cannot be beat.
Yeah. Talk us through that then. Yeah, because again, that's possibly the biggest one now, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yes. I'm a sucker for good story. Square Enix, chef's kiss. They know how to write a story. And the community in and of itself is vastly different, right? Like, you get pockets of toxicity, and that's usually pretty well squashed, right? And the only time that I've ever seen any toxicity is in PvP, and I get that. It's why I don't PvP a lot of the time, right? So anytime I've needed help with something, like I've been offered like help, and like people would be like, hey, like, can I offer you advice? And I'm like, yeah, please, by all means. And like vice versa, like if somebody needs something, I got them. Like it's just, it really truly is a community, you know? And I love that. And I love that there's all these people, but I don't have to talk to anybody. Like, I can still run around and do my own thing solo, but like if I need somebody, like, they're there. Like, it's just, it's an amazing game. It's an amazing community. Like, Final Fantasy 14 has done so well, and it has only grown over the years, and it has been so awesome to watch, except for when you're trying to log in and then you have like a 2,000 person queue time or longer.
Yes. I was about to mention that, yeah.
Or longer.
But again, it says so much about why it's so successful, and why, like you said, the community's so good, and the feelings you get by playing the game are so good, because then if there's a waiting list that long, it's got to be doing something right. You know, so it's really good. So how much Final Fantasy 14 have you played over the years then, in terms of, that's been a growing game, a growing community. When it first came out, it wasn't, I've heard, so good. But nowadays it's like critical acclaim, fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, when it first came out, it was good, right? And I think it's only gotten better. And I think it has aged well with the player base, because I started with, when did I start? I want to say like 2016 is when I started playing it. And I've taken breaks, right? Because financially I can't afford it, so on and so forth. But like, I come back and it's still equally as gripping. It's still equally as like, the emotions I feel going through the story is like, I'm laughing one minute, I'm crying the next. Like, it is so compelling. And like, it really just has done a very fantastic job growing with the player base, and like telling the story and aging it appropriately for the people who have been there since the beginning. And it's friendly to those who haven't played it before, right? So they're doing a lot of things right. They really are doing a lot of things right. And the soundtracks, hello, excuse me?
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. I keep that on in my house. Don't tell people that. Don't tell people that. I have a reputation. Like, I'm hardcore all the time.
We'll cut that bit out.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I genuinely do. Like, I can wax poetic about that game forever.
Excellent.
I haven't played it in the last couple of weeks because I've had other ADHD. I float. But I know I will always go back to it.
Yeah. So if you were stuck on a remote island, and you can have internet connection on this island, so don't worry, you could only choose 3 games to spend the rest of your life on the island with, what would they be and why? Sorry.
You're asking a person with neurodivergency who has a hard time sitting in any one place for too long what 3 games?
Sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. Fine. We'll do that. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, Final Fantasy 14 is one of them.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah.
Because I know in 2 weeks, if you asked me this, it would change.
Yeah.
So right now, Phasmo.
Excellent. Yeah.
I love Phasmophobia. It's a lot of fun. And I would probably do House Flipper.
Yeah, but that's brilliant though, isn't it? That's a great trilogy, really, let's be honest, in terms of the fact you've got so much going on there. You've got the RPG, you've got the horror, and you've got just the chill. I just want to, yes, it's great.
I just want to flip houses.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, I just want to do spooky babe things and flip houses.
Let's talk about Phasmo then, because again, did you play that? You played it on Twitch? Do you play that offline as well? What's the?
I do both. But it is one of my bigger. It's one of my bigger and better streams on Twitch. I do have something called Dixper as well, where people can buy crates and like basically mess with me while I'm playing, which they love. I mean, sadomasochism is a thing, and you know what? I'm here for it. It's fine. I respect people's choices. So that's a lot of fun, and I have kind of made a name for myself for cussing ghosts out.
Okay, yeah.
Just, roasting them. Like, I go in the house and I'm like, Karen, your man left you because you can't cook. Your mama don't love you. You ain't got no nipples. Like, I go off. And people enjoy that. So I enjoy providing that content.
Yeah.
So it has definitely been a big one for me. And it's a lot of fun. Like, they do continuously update. Obviously, like, there's more that I want. But it is dope. It is dope. I like scary stuff.
Yeah, and it is growing, and it's crazy how it's still very, very popular. Because again, a lot of indie horror games kind of just ebb and go, don't they? This is arguably possibly more popular now than it was when it came out. It's doing really well for itself, that game, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go next. To be fair,
I am too, because the thing with games like that is they have the tendency to get stale very quickly, right? So if you're not constantly pumping content into there, like something else is going to.
Yeah.
So like after Phasmo popped up, we have things like Ghost Hunters Corp. We have things like Sin Unit. We have things like Forewarned, where they're taking that concept and they're trying to reiterate it. And because Ghost Hunters Corp was kind of rising in fame there as a decent competitor based off of some of the, I know the word. Another word.
Competition? I don't think no. Oh.
No, the mechanics.
Got you. Sorry, yes.
Sorry, I'm going to do that a lot.
Okay.
Based off some of the mechanics, like Phasmo actually took some of those and did them better. Right? So I am a fan of Phasmo. I think that the development team, I don't know if it's still one guy, but I think that they're doing really, really, really well for themselves, and they should be proud. They should be proud.
Fantastic. Let's talk horror. So
sure.
Over the years, how much has horror been in your life in terms as a gaming go-to, or is it something that's kind of come in recently?
It's kind of like it's always kind of been there. Like I would always watch people play because I was always afraid of jumping in the driver's seat, right? But I kind of stopped that, and very briefly, without getting too much into it, I almost lost my life in childbirth. Knocking on death's door does things, right? Both good and bad.
Yeah.
So I couldn't play horror games for a little bit because there was the element of death, and like that was something that was very triggering for me. But in time, I've learned to kind of heal through it. And for me, it's empowering to like get through something that I know physically is going to scare me and cause that reaction, and make it on the other side and know that I'm okay.
Yeah.
So it really has been more of a recent development because I started doing horror, on and off for the last, 2 years, but I really kind of like settled into it, over the course of the last year or so. So I play a lot of Phasmo. Devour is another one that I enjoy, which, oh my gosh. You want to talk about like jump scares. Goodness. It is good. And honestly, like I've had such an amazing relationship with the development team that they actually created a skin in the game for one of their characters that was inspired by me.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So like the fact that was even a thing, I was like,
oh wow. Yeah.
Me? All inspired by me? So I'm glad. Like I find specifically indie horror to be very, very, very appealing and appetizing, and it really fills that void in my soulless vessel. Because you can tell that they care so much about it for the most part, right?
Yeah.
They care so much about it. So I mean, I would play Devourer any day as opposed to something like, I don't know, Resident Evil. Y'all could cancel me. I don't care. At me. I don't care. I said what I said. But like, and I'm not knocking Resident Evil because, you know, the stories are good, but like I would prefer to play something like Call of Cthulhu as opposed to Resident Evil. Like I don't need budget necessarily. Like I want passion.
Yeah, brilliant. It brings me to a good point, which is that like what's so good about indie horror right now is, like you said, that they engage with the community so much. It's something that I think that AAA titles like Resident Evil, like you said, need to take a leaf from the book of, in terms of the fact that they cater to the audience so much more. They engage with them, they communicate, they really put a lot of passion, like I said, into that product, and it makes it, you know, because again, I think so many companies nowadays, especially the AAA title companies, think that, oh, you know, they're the consumer rather than like, let's work with them, you know. So it's great to hear that you're getting that type of response. Like, and yeah, it was amazing when I saw that happen with Devour. I did see that. It was so cool.
Yeah, because I took a screenshot, like I took a clip. I was like, hello, is this me? Is this me?
Yeah.
Hello? I was freaking out. And they're like, yeah, you know, we might have been inspired. I was like, ah, yes.
Yeah.
Freaked out. It was so much fun. I love that.
Yeah, fair play to them. Fair play. So I mean, not knocking, like I said, not knocking AAA titles and stuff, but I mean, was there any horror games in your teens, well, growing up, really, that you used to play back in yesteryear? Any other horror? Has horror always been there, or is it not so much?
Not really, because I didn't have access to a lot of the games that so many others did. So like, I would go over to like my friends' houses, and like Fallout was probably the scariest thing that I like saw, right? But at that point, I was kind of coming up in this horror genre because the horror genre in gaming wasn't super popular back then. But like, I was watching a lot of horror movies. So like in high school, I was watching movies like Night Stalker, which was about Richard Ramirez, the serial killer in California. I was watching things like, you know, What Lies Beneath. I was actually figuring out like what I liked. Like I was watching The Ring, you know? So that kind of introduced my love for horror. And then the gaming lagged behind for years.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was always so apprehensive in terms of gaming to begin with, because, you know, like I don't want to make it an issue about being a marginalized person, but I am a marginalized person. And in gaming spaces, I'm treated differently because of that. So I was always very apprehensive. Like I didn't even when I was like, you know, playing RuneScape or like World of Warcraft, like people didn't know what I looked like. They automatically assumed I was just like some white woman. And that worked in my benefit, as shitty as that sounds. But I really didn't get too into horror games until the last couple of years. Excellent. Where, you know, my partner and I ended up playing through Soma, which was Chef's Kiss. And there's a couple clips out there of me and him playing. And I'm losing my mind.
Well,
losing it.
Check the clips out.
Yeah. So there's actually one of me in my chair, and I like visibly like shake and scream and like throw my headset. It's Chef's Kiss. Like I do that. I don't do that nearly as often, but
yeah,
sometimes
they're just golden nuggets of moments, though. And that's what, that's horror, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We always wait for those moments as a viewer or as a player. For sure. So when you play games, do you look at like achievements and trophies and stuff like that at all, or is that not something that really comes into play?
Sometimes, depending on the game, but most of the time, like, I don't really care. Like, I'm a filthy fucking casual. I really am. Like, I am not like, oh, I need to beat 100% of this game.
No.
I mean, sometimes, like, I'll go back. Like, it depends. Again, it depends on the game, because some games I really hyper focus on, and I'm like, I need to get everything. But most of the time, it's just like, I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna play. Like my partner and I have very different gaming styles because he's the one who's like, I am doing this to full completion. I'm like, I'm just gonna go through it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna be casual.
Yeah.
Right. So I not really. It's not my thing. And like that's not to knock anybody whose thing it is, because dope. Right? Like play your game the way you want, get that paper, whatever. But I play to play.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much do you play online versus offline in terms of like Twitch and in your own time basically?
It's about 50-50, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like there are some times that I will just coexist with my community in a voice chat, right? And like we'll just sit there in silence and I'm playing House Flipper or The Sims or whatever it is. And then there are other times where it's like, oh, hey, like I'm really feeling like playing Phasmo. Who wants to play Phasmo with me? Or like, hey, there's this new horror game. It's on sale. Like, who's going to buy it? Like, let's play it. So it's fun, you know, like I stopped feeling the pressure to have to play with everybody all the time.
Yeah.
Because I think as a streamer, sometimes those lines get blurred.
Yeah. They do.
And so I'm just kind of taking that back. Like, it's like, look, I enjoy hanging out with you, but I don't have to. I don't have to give you more of my time than I'm willing. Yeah. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to play my game. And if you want to exist with me in the space, cool. If not, cool. But I'm just going to be silent because I'm tired and I just want to play something.
Yeah.
And then there are very few people that I really will like just hang out with.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned that it's interesting because there is that, so we say, a smaller population of Twitch community people that always see you as like they expect you to do what they want you to do, which is quite ridiculous really when you think about it. Like I said, it's your space and people can come to your party, but you control the party. It's your thing. You know, it's quite crazy that people have the opposite mindset, really.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of the situation we find ourselves in, right? Because we're on the internet and everything is so like instantaneous, and we live in a society that likes instantaneous results.
Yeah.
But above all else, I am a person. Like, yes, I am here to entertain you, but I am a person and you don't own me. And I'm lucky because I've kind of set that boundary. So my community members don't really try me like that. Right? Because they understand. And if anybody else tries me, like, I don't even have to say anything because they're the ones like, nope. We're not going to do this. Not today. Yeah. No, sir, ma'am, either or neither. I don't think.
Yeah, 100%. So what made you think about streaming? What was the catalyst? What was the moment that made you think, you know what, let's give this a go?
You're going to laugh at me. Okay. My ex-boyfriend at the time was streaming. And I was like, oh, like this looks like a lot of fun. Like I want to do that. And he's like, no, you can't. It's my thing.
Oh.
I said, okay, bet.
Wow.
Okay, bet. Watch me. Don't tell me what to do. So I started streaming, honestly, out of spite because I thought that it was fun. And again, neurodivergency plays a big part in my story. I didn't have many friends. I only really started having like friends that are lifetime friends in the last year and a half, right? I'm 32. Just so we know, like it took a long time. Yeah. And so I wanted to have a space where I could just be myself and create friendships. So when I first started streaming, it was a hobby. And for somebody to be like, no, you can't do that. I was like,
yeah,
I'm not the one. I don't know who you think you're talking to, but it's not me. And so I did it, and I did it better than him. And within like 2 months, I was already surpassing him in like follows and views and things like that. And I was only doing it part-time. So, needless to say, it didn't work out. But that's honestly why. Like, I just wanted to find and forge friendships.
Yeah. And that's what's beautiful about Twitch. Like you said, it's your narrative, it's your control. You can make it what you want it to be, and then if the community likes what you're doing, they will follow you, they will stick with you, they will be there for you. Like you said, friendships. It's true. It's beautiful, and it's so organic as well. Like, it just it's not something that you can even kind of put like a number or a thing on. It's so fluid, should we say?
Yeah, it really is. And I made that's a very early streamer mistake. It's like, I was trying to please everybody, right? Because I just wanted people to come and I wanted people to stay. But the moment that I stopped trying to cater to everybody else and started doing what I wanted, that's when I actually saw growth.
So what was the first game you played, or what was the first thing you did?
I think I did like a little tiny like Cards Against Humanity stream.
Okay, yeah.
And then I did Downwell as my second.
Okay.
Which is like a little indie, like it's almost like a platformer, but you're going like straight down, and like you have to like move things and like you shoot things out of your foot. I don't know, it's weird, but it was cute and it worked.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right. So, what are your favorite like streaming memories, or is that something that's been? I mean, how long have you been streaming for? I haven't actually asked that. Sorry.
Since 2016.
Oh, okay.
On and off since 2016. Yeah. So I started, and I was only doing it part time, and then life happened, so I took massive breaks in between, and I only really started like coming back into it full force in 2020.
And I think it kind of speaks for itself, really. But are your favorite streaming memories more recent than?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was like a silly question.
Absolutely.
What are your favorite moments then? Doesn't have to be like on stream, should we say? We'll get to the Twitch Do It Better moment, but I mean, like on stream itself, what are some of your favorite memories?
So you're gonna laugh at me because this is highly inappropriate, but here we are. One of my friends had thrown 5,000 bits at me in chat, and like I was just taken aback, right? Because like, hello, excuse me, me, and so like, I think this was pre-diagnosis. So like, when things like that happen, like I freeze and I panic, and like, so I did that, and I'm just sitting there like this, and I'm like, oh my god. Like silent for about like 10 seconds, and I was like, I will let you put a finger in my butt.
Yes.
Didn't mean it, regretted it instantly, but that was what it was.
I've seen that,
and that for me was
I've seen that moment. It's so good. It's so good.
But like because I panicked, and I don't know, like I froze. So I have a tendency to say things without thinking them through and then instantly regretting them, and that was one of them. But it was one of the funniest moments I've ever had on stream, because it's like, that's raw, that's me, like that's what happens in real life too. Like the person that you see on stream is the person that you're gonna get IRL. And so like, it was just one of those moments like that I know I will never live down, and every so often somebody will be like, hey, I have 5,000 bits, can I put a finger in your butt? And like,
no.
It's great. It's great. It's just so funny. That was definitely one of my favorite memories, because it was just so raw and it was so real and like just so funny.
Oh, it's like you said, in the same way, it's so beautiful because it's so you, like, and that's all we want, isn't it? Just create that space where you can be you, and then forget this like divide of online versus offline, and you got to be a certain persona. I am me, you are you, and that is intrinsic all the time. So
exactly,
that's so cool. No, I remember seeing that clip. It's like, oh my god, that's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah, that's me. Hi, okay.
Oh, excellent. Okay, right. So let's talk about Twitch Do Better then.
Sure.
So, like, I mean, your life turned like overnight, didn't it? Let's be honest.
It did.
So, okay, for people who don't know, because I know a lot of people who are probably watching this will know, but in the case of people who don't know, tell us what happened then, and then what led to that movement.
So there is I mean, okay, I'm going to start it with this. Twitch is a reflection of society. It is a reflection of the society that we live in. And I don't think that people understand that, because even though it is online and there's online and IRL, those lines blur because the internet and online is so ingrained in our life. Hate raids and trolls are nothing new on the platform. We've been talking about that for years. But in the summer of 2021, in August, end of July, beginning of August, there was an influx of people basically finding loopholes in the Twitch API, in the coding for the site, to create bot accounts and program hateful messages that would spam a creator's chat. And most of those creators were of a marginalized community. So Black, LGBTQIA2+, transgender specifically. They were, coming in, throwing racist rhetoric in my chat. And it was very pointed for me at first, because the first thing that they asked me was, hey, is a Black goth a gigger? And that happened one Friday. I clipped it and I sent it out into the Twitterverse. I was like, y'all, this ain't okay. This is not okay. We should not be having to deal with this. And then exactly a week later, I had another flood of bot accounts where they said, this is a KKK takeover. This chat belongs to the KKK. So I clipped that and I sent that out into the Twitterverse. And that day, there were so many people coming forward with the same message.
Right, yeah.
So I had quote tweeted somebody the day after, and I was like, this is not acceptable. Why are we doing this? Why is it that y'all are taking 50% of our money and we are still not being protected and we are not safe on this platform? And then Twitch do better. Hashtag Twitch do better. Yeah. And then that day I was like, yo, we need to get this trending. Like, we need to get this trending because this is not okay. We need more. And it took off. It took off. And I did not expect it at all.
Yeah.
Within 48 hours, I had like Kotaku in my inbox. I had Washington Post in my inbox. I had PC Gamer. I had, shortly after, I had NPR. I had AJ Plus. Like, there was a lot. CNN, NBC, Cheddar News. Like, even there was an internet. I forgot the name of the publication, but there was an international newspaper that was talking to me. I had, charitable organizations like offering help, like things like that. So it was massive. It took off.
Yeah.
And as the Twitch Do Better thing took off, so did the hate rates.
Yeah.
Which it is what it is. Like, I wouldn't do anything different. Like, obviously I don't want people to be hurt in that situation, but like, I didn't come out unscathed either. And I know that sounds kind of shitty to say, but like, we were all kind of in it together. We were all kind of, unfortunately, being traumatized together. But I think that brought us closer because we knew it needed to end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it got really bad for me. Where they were threatening, like, to send bombs to my house. They were threatening to lynch my children. They were putting my address up on websites. They were like telling people that there was a free Xbox to just walk in. They were delivering pizzas. They delivered like thousands of boxes. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. But I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah.
Because it needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I did. Like, I sat down with Twitch. We had a meeting. Like, we were discussing some of the viable options. We were discussing some of the things that were going on. I felt like a Jerry Springer episode. Like, I really did. And I'm proud of myself for getting through that. And I'm proud of myself for bringing a community together to call out all of this. And I'm proud that we were able to organize a boycott on the platform that actually made a difference, despite, maybe some popular streamers thinking that it wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we did good things. And I have said, and I will always say, this has always been bigger than me. Like, I was just the spark that lit that gasoline. But we all needed it to happen.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about yourself, Raven, to be honest with you, is the fact that you were, I think if it was maybe perhaps a different personality or a different person, they would have not seen it that way. But you've really recognized that, you are the spark, because it's like, pardon me, it's like, Twitch listened in the end, and there's a lot of people that were making it into something it wasn't, like the whole Twitch better. They were taking on that bandwagon and taking it completely to different things. But the core issue was the fact that, like you said, marginalised creators were just being targeted purely on
for existing.
For existing, and you did spark an amazing movement.
Thank you, thank you. I'm really proud of like everybody who was involved. And like, people were like, oh yeah, we definitely need higher pay. I'm like, y'all are not listening.
Yeah.
Y'all are not listening. Because yes, do I think people deserve higher pay? Absolutely. I'm not going to argue with that. But at the end of the day, what I was saying is that Twitch has money to put these things in place. Not that I need 70% of the money I'm making. I would love 70% of the money I'm making, but that's not the argument I'm making right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, there was a lot of bigger creators, should we say, that were almost fighting against it, really. So you're having to fight that.
I called them out.
It's ridiculous, really, that there was this divide, really, should we say, between smaller streamers and the big guns.
It wasn't even that, because I talked to Hassan Abi. I was on his stream talking to him about it. So it wasn't that. It was the cis white dude streamers who it didn't affect to begin with. So if it doesn't affect you, your opinion is not valid. It's not valid. You can tell me that we need to hit them in the pockets and that's the best way to do it. Yeah, maybe. But guess what? You have to understand that reputation is a form of currency. I don't have to hit them directly monetarily for their reputation to be in jeopardy enough to have to do something about it.
That's a fantastic quote. I really like that quote. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So
I mean, like, they can say what they say. I called them out too. I don't care. Because I'm too old for this shit. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, you want to sit there and say something out your neck, sideways, about something that does not affect you, I'm going to call you out.
Yeah.
I will be the angry black woman.
Yeah. And another thing is as well, I remember when you went for partner, which congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you.
On that, like, people were again calling you out on that and calling you a hypocrite, and it's like, no, the two things they can coincide. You can have a problem with Twitch, but not it be that you don't want to continue to grow on the platform and do good things together.
It was very much the same mindset of, if you don't like this country, go back to where you came from.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is the grass is not greener on the other side. It is greener where you water it, and that is what I'm choosing to do, because that's the hard thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And
I want to make this better for everybody. Like, I want to make it better for everybody. Because let's face it, business-wise, Twitch is it. For live streaming, Twitch is it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So why am I going to abandon a fight for a platform that I truly do love, because of the communities that I've been able to integrate myself into and create for myself? Because bad things are happening. Me and my partner, we fight. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to work on it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Just because something is hard doesn't mean that it is not worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well put. So, beyond Twitch then? Are you on other platforms? Where's the future really, I suppose, for RekItRaven?
I am on TikTok. I'm trying to do TikTok things.
Yeah.
I'm a boomer, so I don't really do TikTok things well, but I try. There's actually Share and Hover, which is really great for discoverability and growth, more so than TikTok, I think, because it is directly from the app to Twitch. Eventually, I will be trying to do some YouTube stuff, but right now I'm kind of saving that because they're still trying to dox me on that platform, which I think is hysterical.
Right.
But I do a lot of stuff on Fan House. I have coffee. I do Fansly, so you get some thirst stuff too. Like I'm expanding my empire, if you will, but I'm doing it in a way that is conducive to me. That like has my values at heart. Twitch is always going to be my main squeeze. I love Twitch as much as I hate it.
Yeah.
So like that's primarily where I create the content, but I am, exploring.
Brilliant. Where so you've done a lot of charity work as well. Let's, if you don't mind, let's talk about that then. So what was the first set of charity funded plans were? What were they like, and how has it grown over the time?
So the first charity event that I did in my, I like to call it my rebirth period, right? When I actually started to stream full time, was for Color of Change, which is an organization that helps, Black people specifically in this country with like legal aid, putting it back into like housing, making sure that Black people are actually being treated fairly. And I did that because January 6th, 2021, there was a fucking terrorist attack in this country on the Capitol, and it was a bunch of white people. And I can guarantee you, if it was a bunch of Black people, that would not have been nearly as calm as it was. And the hypocrisy was there for the world to see. Like, this country was showing its whole ass.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I streamed on a day that I didn't normally stream, and we talked about it. I was like, this is not okay. This is not okay. We can't do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start trying to find, places to raise money for. And at first it was just a couple of us raising money for Color of Change. And then it blossomed into something that was bigger. I was like, I want to do charity work. I want to have a team of people that are like-minded, that want to fight for marginalized rights, that want to really put forth the effort to change these things. And so the Underworld Charity Team was created. And it was an unofficial Twitch team. It's an official Twitch team now, but we're on hiatus. Okay. But we really have done amazing stuff. We've raised money for National Black Trans Advocacy Coalition. We've raised money for Stop AAP I Hate. We've raised money for Women in Games International. So we really do try to see where the need is in that moment and plan for it. And we actually have an event coming up in March. I'm not going to give too many details about that yet, but I'm excited because that is going to be the thing that kind of kicks us out of a hiatus.
I mean, timing-wise, this episode might come out on time. If not, hopefully it's gone very, very well if it's already happened. But that's amazing. Wow. Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, that's basically, I've got out of questions really, to be honest with you. It's been a wonderful chat. You're an incredible woman. I adore you. I think you're amazing. And just one more time, I suppose we'd like to plug your socials and thank you for coming.
Sure. Y'all can find me almost everywhere at RekItRaven. On TikTok, it is rekit.raven. But come hang out, come follow me. I try to interact as best as possible. I'm really fun to watch on stream, I think, personally. I mean,
It's true. It's true. She's brilliant.
Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And that's about it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Yay. Right, guys, I'll see you on the next stream. But until then, take care. Bye-bye.